Brian Kilmeade had a very particular issue with Biden's speech, and it was the fact that Biden was acknowledging how bad things have been. Here's Kilmeade.
We don't need to go over the 500,000 dead. We had that moment. Let's talk about the future moving forward. Every time he has a chance to praise the previous administration, he not only doesn't praise, he kicks them in the groin.
Why the kicking in the groin? Anyway, we don't need to acknowledge the 500 dead. Well, why should they? I mean, they spent so much of the past year focusing so specifically on it. But yeah, at least they did acknowledge it there. They said it and then moved on and tried to tell you that anyone who mentions it, that they're being unfair in some way. But now that we have cruised past 500,000, there's been a lot of ways that people have tried to make it a little bit easier to conceive of how many dead that actually is. Cenk earlier in the show referenced how many 9/11s that is. I heard, it was the first time I heard it, that now that we've reached the 1 year anniversary, it is a little bit more than one person dying every minute for an entire year, which is just devastating. But don't focus on that. I mean, let's move on.
We lost. I mean, this is the thing about. I have a problem with the way the right wing spins it, and I have a problem with the way that Biden says, don't bet on America. Why? Because if anyone bet that we would screw it up, they probably won a lot of cash by now because we screwed it up. And it's not a race, it's not a game. Like this is, and and this is the whole thing with just inflating this with oh, if it's a war, we lost. We lost handily. We're still losing it. And there's an argument to be made about, should the country that did the least good job get the most vaccines? Look, as an American, I want all of us to be vaccinated. But there's countries that have done way better jobs at containing the spread on their own, who have far less resources, and yet we're number one in line. So, I know you guys talked about this a bit during the live coverage of the speech, and it's really important to point that out. But also, let me just say, kick him in the groin. You think at what point was Biden, did he at all? I mean, you wanted him to dunk on Republicans just a little bit. Just tell us who actually fought and gave up on this war. Tell us.
Yeah.
It was Trump.
So first of all, to Francesca's point, Biden said don't bet against America, right? But Francesca's empirically correct. We had the most amount of cases in the world and we had the most amount of deaths in the world. So if you bet against America, you probably would have made a small fortune. I hope you didn't, okay? But with Trump in charge, that was an easy bet.
I'm pretty sure that's what Loeffler and Perdue and some other elected officials did, actually.
Actually, you're right. They did. They literally bet against America, and they made millions. So that's true because they had insider knowledge of both that COVID was coming and that the president was a moron. So when you put those two things together, they were like, "Oh, bet against America." Okay, sell anything that is involved in the economy except medical supplies, etc. All right, so now the main point that Kilmeade was making. So let me get this right. 500,000 dead, and he said that had a moment, and now we should look forward and not reflect on it. You remember them saying that about Benghazi? Mm-hmm. So there was 4 dead in Benghazi, and they spent half a decade talking about it. Now there's 500,000 dead. 500,000 dead. And it's like we had a moment. It's a moment. Who cares? Who cares? Let's move on. What are you gonna do? Congressional investigations or something? No way. No way. We already did 9 on Benghazi. They did more congressional investigations than the number of people who died at Benghazi. If we did that, the same thing here, we would have over 525,000 congressional investigations to see how badly Trump and his idiot Republican followers and politicians bungled this and led to hundreds of thousands of extra deaths. And then second of all, he was kicking the previous administration in the groin. I mean, if he grazed them, it was like more than they've ever gotten, okay? So, all right, so look, after the speech, Anna and I, in our live coverage, we said, for God's sake, are you ever gonna make your case? There was like a tiny bit of it talking about the $5,600 checks. There's one mention of the Trump administration or something. But here's what the speech you should have given. Hey guys, you're about to get $5,600 on average for a family of 4. You know how many Republicans voted for that? 0. They all wanted you to get no checks at all. They all voted no. They said they wanted it more targeted and more focused. You know what that means? That means less They wanted you to get less or nothing at all. That's who these sons of bitch Republicans are. In the middle of the worst pandemic, as you're all suffering economically, every single one of them voted against you. Every single one of them voted against you and didn't believe in you, okay?
Including that package.
That would be the beginning of kicking them in the groin. And that would be my warm up. Okay, that'd be my appetizer. So
but also, Cenk, you have to say that like go on to the main course, which is if we're trying to vaccinate the Americans. Well, there's money in the package in the bill to vaccinate Americans. So it is no thanks to Republicans for not only never and still not taking this seriously, but also not getting on board to actually try and inoculate people from this virus.
Okay, and one more thing, other than noting John's funny faces at any mention of groin, and
I was hoping that they would put me in a window.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Look at these guys, man. Their hypocrisy is hilarious. They're like, you should do like we did and praise previous administrations. Really? Really? You remember all the times Trump would do a national speech like, look, man, I really got to thank Obama. I think that guy was solid. I think he might have even been born here. Okay, that guy handed me an amazing economy. Or did Trump come out there and be like, oh, he ruined everything. He ruined everything. I'm cleaning up his mess. I'm the best, right? No, after Trump, you're still gonna talk. Shut up. And don't ever, ever, ever ask for civility, okay? No one who ever supported Trump for 1 minute gets to talk about civility. Period.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.